Well, good morning, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinder Studios. It is 8:30 on December 30th, Friday. I'm off today. So, I'm off. Actually, it's Friday, Monday. It was since the New Year straddles the weekend. I get a nice dual day off. Actually, normally would, but it just happened to line up beautifully for a 4-day weekend. So I've got a lot of time now. I'm hoping to finish one more painting before the end of the year, which is this guy. Doesn't look like much currently. It's called Pyrite Palace. It's going to be a lot of grayscale with a little bit of gold and yellow highlights. Unfortunately, in order to do this idea, as much as I didn't want to do this before the end of the year, I actually have to go down to the art store today. For two reasons. One, I actually would like to get some iridescent gold acrylic to really kind of amp up this piece. And the other issue is that I have a brush that is, to this point now, really about dead. I do have that video about sort of saving your acrylic brushes with some rubbing alcohol. This one has gotten multiple rubbing alcohol treatments. It's not happening at this point. It's old though. It's what I call my old reliable brush, or my new old reliable brush. My older old reliable brush. This is actually still kind of okay, sorta. I don't know where it's at. There it is. Both of them were never that fancy to begin with. I think this was a Utrecht brush, which is why it's probably still kind of okay. There is a fairly big wad of dried paint at the bottom of this ferrule. It's not salvageable that way, but it does still work. But it doesn't work as the bright brush that it was in the first place. This one was the replacement for it. It was a much cheaper, I think it was a low Cornell brush that I picked up at Michael's. While it does have that wad, the wad's a lot higher, and the usable tips of these bristles are not going to cut it for this project. This project in general, I'm playing a lot with perspective and block shape, so I really need a brush that is soft bristled, that can give me those quick, blocked out shapes. And it seems ridiculous. You're like, hey, I need a new brush. And you're like, really, Ben? You need a new brush again? Yes, I do. Really? Yes, I really do. Despite those brushes, despite all of the oil brushes that I have in the corner, I do need one for this. So I do want to see what time they open. That is important. Blick, Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'd go Monday. But Monday is the New Year's Eve, the observed New Year's Day, because again, things fall on Sundays, so things have to carry over, like what Christmas did. So I'm not going to start this painting until I get back. But I am doing some other things in the studio, and I've been playing around with some prepping even more stuff. Interestingly, last year I decided, like, I'm going to batch my canvas and get a bunch of stuff, and then not have to buy canvas. I still ended up buying some canvas, but for other reasons. Primarily those, I don't know where I put them, but the space tutorial pieces are floating around here somewhere. Oh, there they are. Yeah, these I went and bought. Just because they're small, I didn't have anything this size, and I wanted the canvas because I do want to, at some point, finish these up and sell them on the website. So I actually still have pretty much all of last year's overstock extra canvas, plus all the wood that I got, plus even more wood that I got, and that's kind of what I'm working on already this morning. So, I don't know if it was the last vlog that I did, because there's been a lot of stuff interspersed, things in between. Actually, the last vlog was the Christmas vlog, Christmas party vlog, and you guys won't be seeing this until like the second week of January. So, the last one, I guess, my dad gave me some wood that he got from a woodworker that was getting rid of some things. The big owl-shaped piece, I think is what I called it. Last night I finally bothered to cut that down since it needed cut down. So this is one piece of it, and I noticed, I don't know, it was supposed to be kiln dried, but it's still bowed like crazy, just being in my house. So I don't know if it's because moisture got into it while it was here, could very well be the case, but clearly I have to do some work to these to get them presentable. So, this one in particular, I started yesterday with spreading some gel into some of the cracks here, because it's very cracked. It needs some extra work here to really get it both prepared enough and smooth enough to paint on. Luckily for me, one of the two, I didn't ask for much for Christmas, but one thing I found I needed in the past year was a palm sander, specifically for projects like this. The other pieces are over here. I got these couple of really nice long pieces. I stained them last night, which is why they're over here, because they're out of the way. Because they were just kind of, bare wood and everything. So I wanted to give them a little bit of a touch-up, And I really like this piece has a really great grain on this side, and it's flat. But I really like having the bark showing. Like, both sides are great. But I think this side's a little bit more interesting. Especially now, and I was thinking about it too, I'm like, well, if I put hangers on it, I want to be able to put the hangers up towards the top. And I won't be able to do that with this edge. So I definitely like having that exposed bark and exposed wood on that. Although I was thinking about it, I'm like, a piece like this would look really great with epoxy resin finishing it. I might be looking at buying some epoxy resin at some point. Now, these are the other two pieces. Again, fix the cracks in the back. These are bowed all crazily. So, yeah, slice them up, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So if and when it hangs, it's either going to be, the bows that way, or the bows are, this way, or vertically like that. So it would hang, and it would kind of lean forward a little bit like that vertically. Or, horizontally, it would just kind of ease out like that. We'd have to do some interesting work with wiring with these. So that one's like that. This one's fairly similarly warped. Very interesting little things though. This big, the big divots in the middle. But same as before. I gotta steel these up with some gel. The triangle piece, I put a layer of the GAC 100 on first, and then I'll probably do that with these as well. Like before I go into the gels, because I want to steel the surface before I do that. Although with these ones, I think I want to throw on a layer of dark stain first, because you can't stain what you've put acrylic gel on. I've tried, it doesn't work because it needs to soak into the wood. And if you try to soak it into the wood after you sealed it with acrylic gel, it just sits on top of the acrylic gel. Thinking about it, oil paint and wood stain are actually really similar, at least in terms of what they do to raw wood. Because you're just kind of staining the surface, I just want to say it's like obvious, like of course stain stains. That's why they call it stain. But the fact that oil paint also works also makes me wonder why the hell I picked up the stain in the first place. Well, oil paint is going to create a very specific look though too. My God, is that better? Holy crap. Not to mention there's some really cool marbling going on here. The center of this piece of wood with the grain. Like there's some like the swirliness of this. That's all the grain of the wood. And it's just the like you could very easily look at that and go, oh, that's brushwork. It's like, oh, that's the grain of the wood just twisting in the middle of these two trees. And so you can definitely bet that when I paint something on this, it's going to be fairly minimal, because I don't want to disturb that beautiful grain in there. So it'll be like one big tree or something like that, that kind of arcs up and around so it doesn't distort all of that grain. That's really great. Yeah, if we compare this now to the overly brushed stain of the last thing I did, it just destroyed that. So I'll pull out the palm sander, and since this is probably the thickest, whoa, holy crap, look at that. That just soaked straight through. that's a pretty wicked pattern. But yeah, this is gonna have to get resanded back down. And when I do this, some of that stain will stay in, so it should lighten it up a bit. And this is actually this whole piece was pretty rough, which is why I went from the cloth to the brush in the first place. But yeah, this one needs a little more work, clearly. But this turned out really great. So this will get another, probably a steel wool buff, which is normally do when I'm done anything staining. And then that gel treatment, and then I should be able to use it for some kind of a piece, or even that way maybe, with like more ground and then a really limited sky or something. That's why I love painting on wood, is because you do get that natural grain, and it just looks fantastic. Okay, so blick and lunch. So I went to the store for one brush. I came back with 5 brushes. And as much as I brought my Christmas money cash with me, I'm like, oh, this should be enough to cover everything. It was if I didn't buy the brushes. They were having a sale. I was like, hey, if you buy 5 brushes, any of the open stock brushes, you knock off another like 25%. And I'm like, that's a really good deal. The cash that I brought, I didn't cover everything. So that's why I bought lunch. So I got a student grade brush, a Blick Scholastic Zero, which is not quite a liner brush, but pretty damn close. This is the brush I went to the store for. So new old reliable brush, just a big giant bright that is going to make this painting more possible than I could have done before. So that's staying out. I decided also, since I've been really enjoying using the Winsor & Newton cotton brushes for acrylics, I decided to get an equally sized one that is a nice short handle, so that's going in there as well. And I got a slightly smaller flat one. These are always super useful. And I was like, well, I need another one just to make 5. So I got a fan. I always like getting fans. Now this fan, I specifically am like, I need it to be stiff fan, because stiff fans are the ones that you need for grass and trees and stuff. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Not that it needs replaced, but this fan I use all the time, and it's getting worn out. It's not there yet. It will get there eventually. But I'm like, having a backup would be a good thing. So this is actually, it's slightly larger, but its size is totally comparable. The only problem is that the handle is too long. So I hate to do this. It's a brand new brush. It's completely sacrilegious in my studio, but
stop it! Just stop! He spins around and goes,
bye-bye. Now it's a shorter brush. I just have to round off the top of this. I'll probably Dremel that down. Yep, short brush. So, I was looking at the golden ones, and golden had one that was, so they have the gold fine, and they also had a gold coarse, which really caught my attention. It's not the one I bought, but it did catch my attention, because I was like, still should probably get the cheaper one. So I got a Utrecht permanent gold. It's the right color, the right gold. There were some golds that were too yellow. There were some that were too brown. They're more like a bronze. I feel like this is going to work. Actually, my silver is a Utrecht one as well. So, and like the golden one was like a Series 7. This was a Series 4. It's like $10 cheaper, maybe $8 cheaper. So better price overall. Other one. This is actually an interesting thing to bring up now. It's when I have to cross it off my big list for spring, maybe. I mean, it was supposed to be summer of 22, and then it became fall of 22, but then it became a winter of 22. Now it's just sometime in 2023, because I haven't been buying a ton of supplies. So the red iron oxide that I've been using for a while, this is about, I think, the second or third tube of this. I've noticed that I'm not really using it anymore. I have some in my Liquitex acrylic ink, and I have the same color in my my watercolors, so I can always make some more of the opaque stuff. But I don't really use a ton of it. One color that I do love that I have in the oils is the transparent red iron oxide, and I decided when this is empty, or in the case of today, I decided I'm switching that out for the transparent red iron oxide. So this is a lot oranger of a tone, and it's, like the name suggests, transparent versus the extremely opaque one. I'll hold them up. Yeah, so you can really see that difference there. So this is the one I'm replacing, which is super opaque. This is the one I'm going to, and I'm probably going to be using it for glazing a lot more than otherwise I would otherwise be doing with the original. Also, I noticed the Golden changed the color of their caps. They're gray now. That's different. I'm not sure why. And because I have ADHD, and there's always impulse buys, large Faber-Castell Pitt pen, funny brush nib, and it's white. I've got a couple other white ones, but I was like, is there a big white one? Yes, there's a big white one. I'm like, yep, okay, I'm getting it. There. So, base layer is finally done. Honestly, they look better than I thought it did, or would. So I will go in and sort of re-detail and make some of these things pop out, layers and all the stuff later on. I think I can finally switch out from this brush that I bought 3 hours ago. Wow, really? It's 2:30 already. Time flies when you're painting and in the zone. Also, I'm running through some old music albums that I haven't heard in forever. I'm going to start working the gold in. And I'm going to pretty much be using that mixed with my lights and my darks. So I'm going to take white and black and the gold and just use that as my detailing color. So I've reached an interesting problem now. This gold is so transparent that my gray layers underneath look wrong. I was trying to pull some of the darker mix into the foreground, but things are just not quite right color-wise. So I'm probably going to have to do some heavier glazes with other colors here. I kind of wanted to keep this more grayscale, but that idea doesn't seem to be working quite right. So, let's set the gold aside and rethink this a little bit. The good news is, since everything mostly is in grayscale, my values are there. Those can just stay. There's nothing wrong with that, but I am going to have to play around with some glazes to get this where I need it to be. And unfortunately, that realization has completely destroyed all motivation I had for the past 3 hours. I think I might just need to take a break and step away for the time being. If you ever want to see the stuff that's done in the vlogs, or even like the live shows, go join the Discord community, because that's where I put all that stuff. So yeah, stepping away before I screw it up. Thanks guys for watching. Keep on creating. This has been Snipit Vlog Studios, and I will see you guys next time.